Evidently, war has played a significant role in shaping Australia's identity and continues to impact the way that some of us live today. However, war isn't really spoken about in my family. Till a recent conversation I had with my nanny did I learn that her father, Clarence McDougall, served in battle, and how this experience impacted her life growing up, shaping the way she is today. This is the story of how war impacted my nanny, Pamela McDougall. Clarence McDougall was born on the 7th of November 1888, the son of Ronald McDougall and Frances Elizabeth High. He married Elfrida Barton in 1911 and they had 4 children together. Pamela was the last born in the family. The McDougalls lived a very comfortable life, living in the family homestead in Cooya, Queensland. This property has been handed down within the McDougall family for generations, where they bred Hereford cattle. This provided the McDougall family with plenty of wealth and stability. When Pamela was just a newborn, Clarence enlisted in the 49th Battalion in Toowoomba on the 22nd of August 1914 and landed in Gallipoli on the 9th of May 1915, nearly a year into World War I. Whilst Clarence's family was back in the safety of the homestead in Cooya, he was fighting the enemy. Luckily, we have some of the letters he wrote home to the family. The 14th of November 1917, the journey towards the Rhine. It seems ages since I wrote you last. I am now in a fairly large French town over the famous Hindenburg Line. We cleaned out a house, rather one room to live in, as the Huns left the place in a terrible state, but now have things nice and comfortable, a table to write and have meals on, and a rough bed, and a nice stove going. It is bitterly cold and we have been having very heavy frost for the last week, after weeks of rain, but the days are bright and brisk and we are in good spirits. I am fairly dreading the winter, and so are all the rest of the Australians, but we'll be able to keep in and out of the weather more now peace is almost here. Although only the armistice terms are signed, I don't think peace will be long following. Back in Cooya, Pamela turned 4. She can still remember bits and pieces from this time of her life. She remembers her older siblings telling her stories of her father. She remembers running through the paddocks and milking the cows, and dreaming of when her father could come home to meet her. Another letter home, July 5th, 1918, the All-Australian Push, how the Germans are caught. Our planes were over pouring bombs onto him as usual all night. A good number of tanks were in the fun and did wonderful work. Well, just before the first streaks of daylight began to show, our artillery barrage opened with a tremendous crash, as we also had a number of guns of all sizes, to say nothing of French mortars, etc. It was a wonderful sight. The sky was lit up with hundreds of flashes. The hills shook from the shell explosions and the air vibrated in waves, not ripples. The old Hun was caught and surprised. His flares shot up in the air, his SOS rockets calling for artillery support, but our guns had his guns almost squashed with shell fire, and he got but feeble response. Clarence came home to Cooya and his family in 1919. This was such an exciting time for the McDougall family. There was a big celebration in town and Clarence was called a hero by all. He was awarded a military cross. However, Clary was a changed man. War had changed Clary. Elfrida and Clarence divorced months after he arrived home. He started drinking. He could not separate his life back in Cooya to the disturbing life he had on the battlefields. Although in his letters he seemed like a positive person, the reality was war had changed him. Pamela, like the rest of the family, was devastated and they had to move out of the family homestead. The women were set to work, in the hospitals, in the shops, cleaning, trying to survive. From wealth to near poverty, the loss of a father, the impact of war. Pamela always hoped he would change. War had robbed her of a father. Clarence knew he couldn't live in Cooya, and despite the horrors he had seen at war, it was where he belonged. He re-enlisted to serve with the Imperial Army in Brisbane during World War II from the 14th of August 1942 until his death on June 11th, 1945. And the father that my nanny had wished and dreamed for was gone, and never was. She was left with only painful memories of him. Ultimately, war had changed the McDougall family forever. It continues to impact the way that my nanny values family today.